Hello, welcome to the Lights at F1 podcast. Tonight, yes, boys, come on, yes, that was Max after taking pole. Take a listen.
And better late than never, mate. Better late than never. Congratulations.
Yes, boys, come on, yes! Oh, this feels good. This feels really good.
Mate, incredible that. Incredible. Well done, Max. Quickest in pretty much every session, and you nailed that last one there. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh, thanks, Christian. It seems like we like all the ring tracks.
Well, episode 14, and we were on for another fantastic race at the Hungary Grand Prix. 5 lights out, 5 lights on segment. First up, we talk about Max and Red Bull. He got his first ever pole and the strategy used throughout the race, and a lot more opinions there. Also, second, Lewis and Mercedes overall. Race strategy for both the drivers. The Max and Hamilton battle out on track, and a little bit of the off-track action at Turn 4. We'll give you our thoughts for that one. Gasly's back in the news, and he's back in our podcast. He's the third light tonight. And slow pit stops for all. We have a little quick chat about that one and let you know our theory on what happened. And Carlos Sainz, smooth operator. Him and McLaren are killing it. We explore that further. Checkered flag, another section of the podcast where we then cover up some more topics where we didn't quite get into more detail. Some interesting ones there tonight. We also give you a little bit of our thoughts about F1 TV. So if you're on the fence and you want our insights, we'll give you that one. S3 Awards, Superstar, Surpriser and the Stinker. We let them loose. A rookie watch. Pretty much on the same page for that one tonight. Podium predictions. We do them 4 weeks out. Yes, we're that confident. Sim racing, esports news. We talk about the F2 series coming into FNL1 and the world's fastest gamer. And Fantasy League, again, smashed it out of the park this week. We talk about my strategies. And that will wrap up the podcast. But that's what you're in store for tonight. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating. You can find us on Spotify, FM, Podbean, Apple, iTunes, Google is coming. And thanks again, guys, for listening. Enjoy the episode.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Hungary, episode 14. Yes, boys, come on, yes! Obviously, that was Max after taking the pole. I've got Aussie tonight with me, as always, and that was a pretty decent race we had in Hungary. An underrated circuit sometimes, but a good battle.
4 in a row, bro. That's 4 ripper cracker races in a row. Max's first pole ever. 100th pole position winner.
Yeah, it's hard to think that he's never had a pole position. Like, that was just something that, when they said it, I'm like, true, he hasn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a pole yet.
He's been there, I think, has he won 6 or 7 races so far, and never had a pole, and he seems like he's been around for a long time, and which was a stat that I heard over the weekend was, I think this was his 92nd or 93rd race, and you think,
Jesus.
Wow, he's nearly done 100 races already, and he's not even 22 years old.
He's got a good future ahead of him, I think. A very good one.
Well, he's been doing Formula 1 since 17, bro. Remember when he first came in?
It's hard to think that that's when he started. Like, at 17, man, I was still in school.
17?
No, I wasn't. I left school. I was working my first full-time job, but I wasn't racing F1 cars.
No, you weren't.
No. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast.
And if you guys are hearing Josh a little bit different today, he's in the middle of moving, so he's on his headset mic tonight, so no, he doesn't have a frog in his throat or anything like that.
Yeah, I do apologise if the quality will be different, but I'll make it sure. I've got the summer break to get it set up, so I'll be there at the end of it. But everything's in pieces. Go right ahead if you want to go set it up. It's bloody everywhere. So.
Yeah, I'm glad it's you moving, man, and not me.
Yeah, not a fun thing. And if you're out there in the market for a house and you want to renovate and you say, I might get this done in 3 weeks, turn those into 3 months, then add the 3 weeks on the end of that, and you'll be pretty close to how long it's going to take you. So
you found all that out, didn't you? Oh, well.
I
all the hard work's behind you now, bro.
No, but I did enjoy this F1 race, and it's time we go check it out. 5 lights on, 5 lights out, our regular segment. The first one is Max and Red Bull. We were talking about it, and his first ever pole, and we'll talk about the strategy involved in that race. But where do you want to start here?
Well, as we said, it was his first ever pole. It was a great pole. This is the, quite often referred to as the Monaco away from Monaco without the barriers. It's a pretty hard track to pass on. It's tight. Totally plays into Red Bull's hands. It's a maximum downforce. They run pretty much similar downforce to Monaco around Hungary here, which is one of the reasons why the Ferraris suffered so much with their low drag concept. But yeah, how was that start? He didn't bog it.
No, he didn't. But that's the problem. He needs to bog it. You said it last week. He needs to bog it to win.
That's what I was getting at. He didn't bog it. And we had three wide into turn one with Bottas in the middle of the sandwich.
Oh, I'm surprised we didn't see more carnage, actually. That was a bit scary, seeing all those cars that close.
See, we were talking about Max and his 93, 92, 90-odd, let's say, races in the past. And when he's been on the front row there, 9 times out of 10, you'd be expecting carnage, wouldn't you?
But definitely, easily. Especially with the likes of the Torpedo back in the field, but he's obviously grown up.
He's definitely matured. I mean, I had a funny conversation just the other day, and I said, I think I must have something with me where when someone teams up with an Aussie, they're public enemy number one. But once that Aussie leaves, then I start to warm to that person because I find that I'm warming more and more to Vettel. These days I'm even feeling sorry for the bloke, and I used to hate him when he was Webber's teammate. And now
I used to hate him too.
And now I'm finding with Max, I'm actually starting to warm to the bloke. Like, he's okay, Like, I used to hate him with Dan. I guess hate's a strong word. I never really hated him as much as I hated Vettel. But
I used to despise Vettel. Absolutely despise the man.
But, I've always known Max has got the talent, and now I guess maybe a better way to put it is I can actually appreciate it better now.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are appreciating his future and the results he's already brought as well. Does that mean you're starting to hate Hulkenberg just slowly?
Oh no, because he's just not even a threat.
He's not. Sadly, is he?
So it's kind of like it's not even in the conversation with Hulkenberg, So
yeah, Ricardo, and he's on so much more money too.
That's just another story altogether. The Hulk story.
I will tell you, everyone, it's 49 million Australian. So
it's not bad, eh? Not bad.
Ricardo's on. I think he's the second highest paid, apart from Hamilton.
No,
so
he's the third highest. Vettel gets a bit more, I think. Not that it matters to us what these guys earn, but it is
a couple of million, whatever.
It is a fair few zeros involved.
Yeah. Now, with the Max and the Red Bull story, his strategy was one of the most questioned things at the end of that race, and that really, really annoyed me because I think Karun kept asking, should you've gone in for the second stop? And I was like, mate, you were a race car driver. Hamilton had that chance. He had that gap, to make that stop for the softs. Or was it the mediums? I can't remember. The other compound.
Yes. Yep.
Where Max was in front. If he would have lost track position anyway if he had done that. So, they didn't really have that opportunity to pit. So, I kept finding that question just redundant. And it really annoyed me because I was like, they're just seeing in hindsight here. They're not seeing, the situation that was unfolding on track at the time. I don't know what you thought about that.
Well, the problem for Max and Red Bull was you've always got the advantage when you've got the speed and you're that close, and you're the car behind.
Exactly.
Because Lewis went in, and with his outlap, by the time Max came around to the pit entry, Red Bull already knew that he was going to come out behind Max. So that's why they kept him out. Now, was it the right decision? Sure, you can question it and say, you would have given Max a better chance. Okay, he would have been behind Lewis, but at least he would have had fresh tyres to fight him with. It would have been a one-on-one battle. But the way I saw it is, I think Hamilton was the faster driver and the faster car throughout that whole race. It was obviously, as we know, it's very hard to pass. But I think if he had clear air, he would have pulled a gap on Max.
I thought, yeah, you're right. But I thought what was very interesting, and it showed its head again to last race with the fact that Hamilton following Verstappen so closely, was just how that Mercedes treats being in free air compared to the dirty air behind another car. Because like overheating was happening, the tyres, the grip levels, all of that. Like, Hamilton was complaining, and he had to cool off at one point. He backed off. And I was like, it's very interesting how different that Mercedes car reacts compared to what it's like, out in front in free air compared to sitting in behind another car trying to get an overtake on a track like Hungary, especially on a hot day as well.
It's been that way for quite a while, from back when Rosberg was there as well. Those Mercs were always when they're out in front. And with all rights too, because they are the dominant team, that when they are designing next year's car, they're not designing it to be in the mid-pack and to be fighting for their position. They know that they're a front runner. They know that, so that's what they build their car for. Whereas I'm sure the Renaults and the Toro Rossos and all the guys in the midfield and back, they don't have that luxury. So they have to try to think about how their car is going to react behind another car.
Yeah, I know, but I just thought it was very interesting just seeing that play out, like just how the performance difference behind someone compared to, when he's out in front.
It's that dirty air they always talk about too, and that's the problem with current Formula One. It's just, you can be a faster car, but you have to be like significantly faster to actually be able to pass easily, much like Hamilton was at the end when Max's tyres fell off the cliff completely. At that point, he was probably 2.5 seconds faster than Max. When there's that much of a speed difference, you can pass the car a lot easier. But if you're only like a few tenths faster than the car in front, mate, Lewis proved it. He tried. He had two fair dinkum goes at it, and he couldn't do it.
Well, you lose all your downforce on the front wing. It's almost zero when you're behind another car like that in the F1 cars. So all that grip on the front end is gone. So you're slower into the corner and you're slower out.
And on top, on top of that, he was overheating, compounds. As you said. Like every time, even Bottas. Did you see the shots on the TV coming in at the bottom of the straight? As soon as they hit the brakes, you could just see these massive plumes of black dust coming off their discs because they were running so hot. Yeah,
it was. It was very, very, very interesting.
At one point,
go on.
I was just going to say, at one point, Lewis even was questioning the brake temps, and his engineer told him it's not the temps, it's the wear that's the problem. So obviously, because when they're heating, they're working harder as well. So it's wearing them out more, which probably had a lot to do with the master strategy, as it's all been touted as now, to get Lewis back out into clear air, and that's allowed him to cool his car down at the same time, punching out the laps in clear air.
Yeah, well, what happened, lap 49, Hamilton came in, and then on lap 50, he did a 119.4, 118.7, a 119.1, a 119, a 119, a 119, a 120, and at the same time, Verstappen was sort of matching that. But then from lap 58, he just chucked in 118s just consistently to lap 63, down to 65. 118, 118, 118, and Max couldn't really get past the 119.
That's about halfway through. I guess we're mixing both our points here because our next point was Lewis and Mercedes.
Yeah, so we have mixed them. They are, consider this 2-in-1.
Yeah, this is a two for the price of one deal here because they kind of go hand in hand. But Lewis, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What were we saying? Oh, about the lap times, yeah. Lewis was punching in those laps, and I was watching the timing screens, and about halfway through that stint, it looked like Max was going to just hold out. It looked like...
I thought the gap was about 15, was it 15 seconds from memory?
I think with
So I was like, he's not really making any leadway here.
With 13 laps to go, or about 10 laps to go, I think he was still about 10 seconds away. And
yeah, it was either 15 or 10 seconds.
And it just seemed like he might just catch him with 1 or 2 to go, but even then, he's got to still pass him. And then all of a sudden, Max's tyres fell off the cliff. He went from 21s to 23, and then it was time to come in. And obviously, once Lewis passed him with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, and that's when Hamilton's, I think, tyres came into their own, when he was hitting those 118s just consistently.
Because Lewis came in on what lap was it?
49, I think.
He came in on 49, and he had the mediums, and he punished them.
Yeah, 49.
Sebastian came in on lap 40, and he put the softs on in the Ferrari. This is just to show you the difference of how the Ferrari was just nowhere this weekend. He did not even do a lap time in the 19s, even though he chucked on the softs for that last stint. He could not even get the car into the 19s.
That's amazing.
And Lewis was punching out 18s on mediums.
I know. It's just crazy to think that they've just got so much work to do at Ferrari. Like, that's just incredible.
As they keep saying, it's just very track dependent, these cars this year. I mean, even with Mercedes, it seemed like Red Bull were the faster car all weekend, obviously with qualifying and Max putting it on pole. But through the race, I got the feeling that Lewis was just a little bit faster. Did you get that feeling through that? Like, he just had a couple of tenths on Max, I reckon. Even when he was behind him for 40 laps.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, it's not a lot, but like you said, a couple of tenths. But it was really good to see, irregardless, it was good to see a Red Bull or somebody just up there fighting with a Mercedes and able to hold their own for so long. I was like, this is good. This is in the right direction anyway, like for the sport. We need more people, but, someone up there fighting with them is a start. Well, so it's good to see Red Bull up there.
Yeah, because it was like early on, lap 13, when Lewis had that real full attack on... was it lap 13? I can't remember what lap it was, sorry. But he had
it was early on, yeah.
Yeah, he had that full attack on Max, and he was forced wide at turn 4 when he went right through the marbles.
That's that blind left-hander.
Yeah, that's the one. And he was forced to go out wide there, so he obviously had to back off and come back in behind Max. And that actually...
He was worried he had damage as well, too.
That was before he came into the pits, actually. I remember now, it was like around lap 41, and that's when his sulks started, because that was his real charge to take the lead off Max, and he couldn't do it. And that's when he started sulking on the radio after that about, what more can I do? And guys, I can't do it, And then the good old Lewis started coming on the radio, and you know how that annoys me.
Yeah, and I don't know how much, I can't, sometimes it blurs when you're watching, because I use F1 TV, and I was actually listening to Hamilton's radio as they're coming in, so sometimes it blurs what you actually see and what I'm hearing. But after he pitted that first time, he was like, this was the wrong call, guys, this was the wrong call.
As he was coming out of the pits, he was already complaining about that.
Yeah, and James Bono kept telling him, no, you'll catch him, keep going. Every single lap, he was relaying, Max doing a 120 or a 119, keep it up. And you could see, and then all of a sudden that interval started dropping, and you're like, I see where they were going with this, they're going to fucking do it. And finally he got the overtake and he was happy again, but every time Mercedes go for something like that, and sometimes I think Hamilton's right, but this time he was very wrong. But he always sulks.
That's what I hate.
It always happens, and you're just like, dude, this happens every time, and every time they're right. Well, pretty much a lot of the time anyway.
Look, I respect Lewis and his talent, but jeez, he annoys me when he lets this diva out in him. Every time, if things just don't seem to be going his way, he's so quick to just drop his shoulders and start sulking. I mean... Oh,
he's very quick. He doesn't give up, but
he sulks. He just wants everyone to know
that you were wrong, I was right type thing.
Yeah, or he wants everyone. Sometimes he overplays things and makes it seem like it's so bad when things really aren't that bad. It's like he wants everyone to know just what a mad feat he did by, triumphing. It's almost like he sets it up even on the radio for when he does win. Man, I think one of the first things he said was like, man, that was a tall mountain, man, but we climbed it, and sorry for questioning it and blah, blah, blah. But,
yeah, he did apologise immediately. He was on the radio, he's like, Bono, James, I'm sorry, I doubted you. And he obviously did. But they got him, they worked that strategy out perfectly. They had the gap, they took it, and I think it was their only chance. And I'm glad that, that's what should happen in F1. They weren't sticking to a plan that they'd figured before the race. They just adapted, and it won them the race in the end, really. So it was a good call.
Bingo! Exactly what I've said before, where Ferrari seemed to be incapable of thinking on their feet. This was the prime example of trying something. They obviously had an inkling that this could work, and then it's like, well, you know what? What's the worst case scenario here? We're going to end up second. We're second now, so let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
This is
they had nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose.
Exactly. They had everything to gain and nothing to lose. Of course, things could have went wrong in the pit lane, and he might have lost a minute, but that's a very, very minuscule chance in this day and age of Formula One. So,
yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is, in hindsight, it seems to me like even if they didn't do this master strategy call, I think Lewis would have still passed Max at the end because he had 6 or 7 laps fresher tyres anyway. So Max's tyres would have fallen off the cliff, and then Lewis would have still consequently passed him with 3 or 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have. I just think he would have been managing temperatures by that point. I really think he would have been backing it off and just accepting the second spot.
Or would he have just backed off and saved even more tyres while cooling the car, and then in those last 10 laps he just would have went hell for leather?
He could have.
Yeah.
He could have. I mean, we do this every week, this, what's and buts, but
that's what we're here for.
That is what we're here for. I don't know. I don't know if he would have done it. I think he definitely would have saved the tyres, but I think he would have been managing temps probably more than... Because like you said, when he went into the pits, he had all that clean air for so long. So when it came to the overtake, the car was, it wasn't overheating, it wasn't close to overheating. He could just get the move done.
Yeah, because
and he was a lot quicker too.
Yeah, there was no battle there. He didn't have to sit behind him. He caught him in the DRS.
But saying that, Max's tyres were dead.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually, because he would have had to have pitted anyway. Because he was I was listening to Max, and then I switched back to Max once the overtake happened, and he was like, yeah, I've got to come for the tyres now. They're absolutely dead. So
what do you mean?
No, he probably would have.
What do you mean you think I'm right? I'm telling you I'm right.
I think you're right.
No,
you're right, mate. You're right. I'll give it to you.
No, but that's what I'm saying. In hindsight, I believe that either way, Lewis was going to win that race.
Now that I think about it properly, yep.
But the way they did it, the drama of it all, it just was perfect.
Yeah, I was loving it. I had the apps up, I had F1 TV up, I had the radio hearing it, TV broadcast, and I was just watching the timing screens. I'm like, he's going to do it, and it was. That's why I love F1. They give you so much information, man. And he just yes, I can just... It's just so nerdy, but it's good. It's good fun. I loved it.
Just like I told you last week, you can't script it any better. It's the best reality TV.
Definitely not.
It's the best reality TV.
Now we got it again in Hungary. It was great.
It was a great battle. 2 teams actually battling for the lead. That's what's been missing for so long from Formula One. An actual full-on, out-and-out fight for the lead to the win of a race. And I also loved the strategic part of it. I always say Formula One is just a really freaking expensive, high-speed game of chess. And we got a prime example of that this weekend, and I loved it.
Yeah, I questioned. I was like, why are they coming in for tyres now? But then I thought about it. I'm like, he had a free stop. This makes sense. This could work. And I'm glad they did it because it showed... It showcased the strategy calls, like you said, the chess game that Formula One is.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And then,
it was a lot of fun to watch play out on track.
Just to finish the Max and Lewis chat there, is that when then Max chucked on the softs with 2 laps to go or whatever, and he got the fastest lap, but he smashed it like it was a 17-1. Now,
oh yeah,
that lap record is going to stand for a long time because he had fresh tyres, no fuel. It was just a full-blown quali lap, that one, at the end of the race.
That was a quick lap. But if you can get the extra point, go for it. Go for it, I say.
So that'll be one for trivia questions for years to come. Who holds the fastest lap at Hungary?
Max Verstappen, 1 minute 17, 1:03, 2019.
Yep. Now,
all right. Well, that was point 1 and 2. So we've done 2 and 1.
And then we'll move on to our third light, which is the other spectrum of Red Bull. One Pierre Gasly. Now,
smooth operator. Did you hear that radio call at the end? He did it again this week.
No, we're talking about Gasly.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not Sainz.
We are talking about
Sainz. We'll talk about Sainz. Sorry, it's been a busy week, all right?
I'm thinking, Pierre Gasly is the furthest thing from a smooth operator.
Smooth operator. This is how busy it's been on the second night here, because that night that we watched the F1, because I stayed up late, watched everything, watched all the interviews, and moved in the day before. I was exhausted. I had sleep paralysis that night. Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
What the hell is sleep paralysis?
All right, so what happens is your conscious mind wakes up, your body is still asleep. So when you go to sleep, your brain shuts down everything. It stops you from moving, it stops you from smelling, hearing, all that sort of stuff. Maybe not hearing, I don't know. But anyway, so my mind was awake. I could see the lights. It felt like I was floating. It also felt like there was this force field just holding me down on my...
Did you die?
I thought I was dead. No, I seriously did, because I felt like there was this force field holding me down, and then I was like, I think there's someone in the house. I was like, I need to get up, and I was like, I tried to move, and my body just would not move. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't move my body. I tried so hard, and I just felt like that force field got stronger and stronger and stronger every time I did it, and I literally couldn't move. I think it probably lasted about a minute. And then you wake up. Then your body actually wakes up and then you can move again. But far out, it is scary, man. So, yeah, I've just had a massive week. But it's nothing serious. It happens to people in their 20s and 30s. And I'm turning 30 in September, so I guess it's just next part of my life,
I'm just sitting here and listening to you telling me about your sleep paralysis, and I'm thinking, if someone just tuned into this podcast right about now for the first time, they're thinking, oh wow, this is not the kind of lights out that I was thinking this was about.
So I mixed up Gasly and Sainz there, but you're right, Gasly, the talk just gets more and more each week that he doesn't succeed on track.
Yeah, he's just, like I said to you on the over the weekend in our Discord chat, Max is making Gasly look like Kubica shit. He's like,
yeah, man,
he is just demolishing Gasly. He was
Well, if there's a no, go on. I agree. I'll let you finish that thought.
Gasly was almost 0.9 of a second off Max in qualifying. Now,
yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
That is just not acceptable, man. To be in a Red Bull, to be that far off your teammate when there's nothing wrong with the car, that is just crap. That's when I said
he was still 0.7 off Bottas, man.
Oh, that's what I'm saying to you. He is Kubica shit.
Yeah. And it really, really is highlighted even more when there's a Red Bull fighting a Mercedes for the lead of the race and you're stuck in 6th. Like, they know the car could have easily gotten 2nd or 3rd. And he's obviously not quick enough.
I had to jot it down. On lap 13, here he was, Gasly sitting 8th behind 2 McLarens and an Alpha. And his teammate...
I didn't even notice that.
And his teammate is leading the race 38 seconds up the road. Like, that's just...
Yeah.
How can...
That's bad.
Obviously, by the end of the race, he did get lapped, but so did Bottas, just so everyone knows. Everyone got lapped in this race except for the top 4.
Yeah, they were flying out in front.
But I don't
Absolutely
know.
Flying.
This Gasly story, I'm on the one hand, I say, yes, man, they really should get rid of him over this summer break. But then it's like, well, who do they bring in? Will they? Is it a good business decision? Because
Bottas. Let's bring in Bottas.
yeah, they're not getting rid of Bottas, so that's just not even an option.
You don't reckon Mercedes are getting rid of Bottas?
Not over the summer break.
Not during the summer break. No, you're right.
No, but
Verline? Can Verline come in?
No, he's a Mercedes driver as well.
He is too.
Look, the only real option they have, and this is way from left field, is...
Who's that chick?
No. Chadwick.
Chadwick.
No. What they could do is, if they really wanted to come from left field, is chuck Alonso in there. But that ain't going to happen.
That's not going to happen with a Honda engine.
I don't think the Honda engine is necessarily the problem, but really, do you want to unstabilize Max? And also, what did they do with Gasly? To bring someone from the outside in, it's not a demotion for Gasly. They have to actually sack him.
Well, I think they either that or send him back to Toro Rosso, and then you. But then I think Kvyat should stay at Toro Rosso, and Albon, I think he should stay there. Like, they're doing really well, but I don't think they're ready for Red Bull race seat. It's
too early for Albon, and the way I see it from a business perspective, what they already did with Kvyat and put him through the ringer. And then they demoted him and then consequently sacked him from Toro Rosso. Now they've brought him back and he's actually proved them wrong by doing so well at Toro Rosso. He's
Helmut Marko was happy.
He's kind of proved to them that if you were just stuck with me a little bit longer, I could have been your man. He could have been...
Oh, yeah, but I think, Kvyat was... I think the time off did him much better than... more good than it would have if he had stayed and tried to fix it.
That's true too. That is a possibility.
Because I read an interview with Helmut Marko, and apparently they tried everything with Kvyat. They tried anything and everything that they could think of to improve it. Bring the family there, stop the family there, stop the friends, bring the girlfriend, stop the girlfriend, whatever it was. But he just obviously wasn't. He obviously thought he was better than what you're like when you're a young bloke. You just think you're invincible and everything is like you're the best out there. And I think if you're an F1 at such a young age, you got to get on top of that pretty bloody quickly. Otherwise, your world can come falling down around you pretty fast.
See, on the one hand, it's not like Red Bull rushed Gasly into that seat. They were almost...
No, they didn't.
They were almost forced to do that with Ricciardo pulling a Swiftie on them.
Well, they were so surprised when he left.
That's what I mean. So I can't really blame them for that decision. That in hindsight, there was probably a better driver they could have put in there. I don't know. But now that we're at this point, I feel like they just have to stick with him till the end of the year, as they keep saying. But then you think...
Yeah. I don't know if they'll get rid of him.
How many points is he costing them, man? He's costing them so much in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah. It's true. I've the talk's there, but I don't know. I mean, if it happens over the summer break, we'll obviously let everyone know about it, and talk about it. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think he'll stay.
No, I can't. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm really and honestly in two minds here. Like, on the one hand, I can quite easily say yes, get rid of him because he's just costing you too much. Points equals money. It's just costing you whichever way you look at it. On the other side, I think, but it just looks silly. You kind of admitting you made a mistake by sacking him and demoting him, and there's nothing to say that if you promote one of those Toro Rosso drivers that you're going to all of a sudden get better results. That's also an unknown. So you could quite easily end up with even more egg on your face. So it's just...
I think if anything happens, there'll be a driver swap. I don't think there'll be... If there's to be any movement, it'll be a Toro Rosso driver, probably Kvyat to his Gasly seat and Gasly back to Toro Rosso. I think if that's the only thing that will happen, if it's going to happen. Because
if you think about it like this, if Gasly was doing a Bottas and finishing second to Max at every race, regardless of whatever position Max finishes, if Gasly was finishing behind him, Red Bull...
Zero issue with that.
Red Bull will smash Ferrari by the end of the year.
Oh, yeah. They would be well ahead.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where, like, Gasly is just nowhere. They're basically a one-man team at the moment, Red Bull. Easily.
But I'm with you. I'm not so certain they're going to get rid of him over the break. But my guess will be if there is going to be movement, it'll be a driver swap somewhere.
Yeah, we shall have to watch this space and see what happens in the... I mean, if there is going to be a swap, you'd have to think that it'll be like this week or next week. They're not going to wait till the last minute to announce it.
No. Well, I guess we'll wait and see. We've got a month off now. So anything... Silly season started, they call it.
Silly season started in Australia, man.
I don't think it ever ends, to be honest. There's always talk of people retiring here or swapping there or... some crazy talk. So, anyway, that is the Gasly situation.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not the last time we're going to be discussing Gasly and his rubbishness.
Unless he can improve.
Let's hope he surprises us and we start saying nice things about him again.
I'd love to, because he's a pretty nice bloke. Anyway, that's light number 1, 2, 3. Let's get on to the fourth light. Slow pit stops all round. Everyone was having issues with the pit stops.
There was a lot of havoc in pit stops. If you noticed, the fastest pit stop compared to last week, the biggest improvement, I should say, the biggest improvement from last week's pit stop was the drunk Mercedes team, because even though they were slow to replace Bottas's wing, they were still like half the time. I think they did it in like 28 or 29 seconds.
Yeah, it was a lot quicker. So they saved a lot of time there. But you can see when you check out the fastest pit stop awards, you can see that there was something up with the Hungarian pit stops, because the average is a lot higher than what you've seen in the last 3 races even. So it was obviously the heat playing a role.
What was Williams' fastest pit stop? When I asked you earlier, it was 2.1 seconds or something.
Yeah, Williams won it this week, and they did a 2.19 second stop.
Yeah, compared to a 1.8 something last week from Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull did a 1.88, and Williams last week did a 1.99.
Oh, so Williams constantly, like, they might not be very fast on track, but they are very fast in the pits.
Oh, they're easily one of the best teams. They've always been consistently up there. Like, they're so good at the pit stops. They won it again in France. They did a 1.97 stop there.
They constantly win that DHL prize. Them and Red Bull are the fastest pit crew.
I think the only time someone else did win it, let's have a look. No, Williams again. Red Bull again. It's either Red Bull or Williams, you're right. So it's just... Yeah. It's the 2 best teams.
I do glance at that.
Yeah, we were thinking that the wheel and the hub were expanding with the heat during the race.
Yeah, well, it was a hot day. It was that hot that even on the radios, you heard Kimi complaining to his team, saying, "Next time when the car's sitting on the grid, can we keep the wheel out of the sun, please? Because it burnt my hand when he was on the grid." So it must have been pretty hot.
That was funny. It's like, may I suggest next time not to leave the wheel sitting out in the sun because it burnt my hand when I grabbed it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he is the Iceman.
Exactly. He probably melted when he touched that thing.
But
who knows? He comes from Finland. It could have just been like 20 degrees.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a car seat in Australia where it's like 60. You could cook an egg on your bloody leather seats. You know.
Tell me about it.
So
the
what was the temp? Do you know the temp? What it was?
I honestly
during the race?
couldn't. That's why I didn't mention it. I didn't remember hearing a number.
Right. No, it was. I think it was in the.
But obviously they were
actually
complaining about the heat and overheating, and because it's a tight track, so they're on the brakes a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I think what the biggest issue was putting the new tyre on. They were getting the old tyre off, and then when they brought the new tyre to the hub, I think the hub the axle was probably a bit
expanded a little bit,
and so it wasn't fitting on as smoothly and freely as it should. So that's where the biggest hold-up was. I mean, I know it wasn't massive, but in terms of Formula 1 pit stops, they were slow this weekend.
Yeah, everyone had an issue. Like every stop, there was the left or right rear. I think, was it the rear? Would have been the rear left would have been the most worn tyre. So I think that tyre that was the most one they had issues with a lot.
I believe for Norris it was that left rear tyre. And
because that was a tyre a lot of the drivers had to just keep an eye on during the race as well.
From my memory, Norris is about the one who really copped it the worst out of the pit stops because he was doing so well in the race. He out-qualified Sainz, and I think he was...
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was 7th and Sainz was 8th, I think. But
7th and 8th, you're right. Yep.
It's the second or third time this has happened to poor Norris. Like, he's just copped the wrong rub of the green, through the pits or through strategy. So it was through no fault of his own. It was just a slow pit stop and it put him into traffic. And I think, did he end up grabbing 9th?
9th.
Yeah.
Right behind Bottas.
So
which is weird to say, really.
He could have had a better race, but it was that pit stop that cost him.
Yeah, because that was... What was the... I think Austria as well. Was it Austria? No, it wasn't Austria. Hungary. What was the last one? Germany. He's had a few races where strategy has...
At least two or three times he's copped the wrong rub of the green and it just hasn't gone his way. Whereas our next light, the fifth light now, Sainz in the other car, he's just...
now I can say it. Smooth operator.
You were waiting for that?
Yeah.
Mate, he is killing it, and he is just having the time of his life at the moment, Sainz.
Yeah, he wasn't so happy with 5th last race, but I'm pretty sure he would have been stoked with this one. No, they definitely were stoked. I've seen the radio calls.
Well, he's another one. I mean, talking about rebooting your career, I mean, he wasn't, down and out, but he was kind of just hovering around, wasn't he, for a few years, in the Toro Rosso there, then the Renault. He was just kind of basically almost, you could say, just making up the numbers on the grid.
It's just a seat filler at the Oscars.
Yeah, well,
you know those guys that when the celebrities get up, guys come in and sit down just to make it look full, even though it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we weren't after every race saying he's as crap as Gasly or Kubica or anything like that. But at the same time, we weren't talking about him having a ripper race either. He was just there, Now, all of a sudden, he's gone over to McLaren. He's filled in his idle seat.
Yep.
And,
with Alonso gone, the Spanish need someone to, barrack for now, and it's going to definitely be Sainz.
I don't know, with Norris being a lot younger than Sainz too, if he's really just taken on this number one driver role, and he's just...
I'd say he has.
He's just really flourishing at the moment.
Yeah, and he'd be helping a lot with the development and sort of helping them, go in a different direction or, whatever it is. So It's obviously work. He looks so happy at McLaren. Lando and Sainz, they also look like they get along really well. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better if you're at McLaren.
Perfect timing.
Like, they've turned it around so well.
Perfect timing for Sainz too, because if this actually just went sour as well for him, I think that would have been his F1 career done and dusted. Whereas now his stocks are just going up and up, and he's actually proving himself to be, one of the better drivers on the grid.
Keyword, he's definitely started to prove himself for sure. Like, he's just and he's been really consistent lately too with the fifth, ending up in fifth spot and top of the midfield, best of the rest. So I mean, I did not see this happening this year with McLaren, but I'm glad it's happened.
Oh, so am I, mate. So am I. About freaking time, I say.
Yeah, it was. I Williams. I hope Williams get their act together soon because they need to. But obviously you can do it. Carlos Sainz did a 1:21 that race. That was his quickest lap. So he was about 10th fastest overall.
Well, like I said, everyone got lapped up until 4th place, so he was the last man lapped. But he's just out there doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, easily, and he's doing it consistently. And I'm sure he's helping McLaren on the the driver development side of things a lot as well. Does he bring any money with him? Is he one of those guys?
No.
I never really know who those drivers are.
No, he's not a pay driver, no.
Is Ocon a pay driver?
No.
I heard that he was, but I didn't believe that.
No, I believe he's in a Mercedes, he's a Mercedes junior driver. They've brought him up through the ranks.
That's what I thought. Because I thought he was like one of these, blokes that's done it tough, to get into the F1 scene.
He is one of those blokes, yeah.
Yeah, so just something I was reading on the internet, but you obviously have to fact check everything you see.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, they all bring some form of sponsorship and money with them because they do have their own personal sponsors. Just like you remember Satanda with Michael Schumacher, on his hats and everything. Like, that was a big lucrative bank sponsorship that he brought to Ferrari. But that he wasn't a paid driver, but they all bring money.
Yeah, clearly, especially if they're like big names as well, and they've got their own. Because I think Ricardo, he has I don't know if he still does, but he had car sales and shit with him. So that's something that Ricardo brings. They've all got their own different brands and stuff that tag along. Sainz actually said his P5 in Hockenheim was. Sainz says Hungary P5 better than Hockenheim as McLaren topped the midfield again. So there you go. He was happy with it. Yeah,
because when he got told over the radio in Germany, he said, I don't know, he goes, I don't feel good or something along those lines. Like, he was fifth and he was happy to be fifth, but he said it didn't taste that good. That's what he said. He goes, it doesn't taste that good. And that's why this time around, his engineer said to him, you mightn't have enjoyed the last fifth, but I'm sure you enjoy this one. And that's when he broke out into his song. He enjoyed it.
Yes, he did. And he said they picked up a radio station and they needed him to check the radio. Sainz, I'll end it here. He says, I was told that in the last 10 laps of the first stint, we were faster than the Ferraris, opening a big gap with the guys behind and finishing P5 in a normal race. As I said, is really, really good news. So, and that means McLaren are now 4th in the constructors. So
that's what I mean. They are best of the rest. Sainz is best of the rest on the Drivers' Championship. They are just killing it.
Yeah, points abound. So anyway, 5 lights done. So that was your race review, you could call it.
Yep.
Hopefully you enjoy that format. It's a little bit different to what you probably get on other podcasts. We like to do things a bit differently. And while I'm at it, please don't forget, share, subscribe. You can even leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of anything. For upcoming episodes, late episodes, we'll read them all because there's probably only going to be 1 or 2 of you if you do it. So get in quick. We'd also appreciate a rating on iTunes if you're out there. And
chuck us a 5-star rating, guys.
Yeah, please. And Facebook, we're on Facebook, so keep in contact with us on Facebook as well.
Lights
Out
Out
F1.
F1 on Facebook, guys. Not hard to find. Jump in, get involved, as I always say.
Please do. We'd love to hear what you guys think. Even if you got some criticisms, we're happy to hear it. All right.
So
Now, promotion out of the way. Let's do the checkered flag segment. We've got a fair few things to get through, but it'll be pretty quickly done.
Yeah, we'll get through it quickly.
Now, did you see the was it the F2 or F3 race that made that cement dust come out? I can't remember. In FP3.
It was the F2s. One of the engines
F2.
blew up and
I did watch that race. I just couldn't remember what number they had on after the F.
After the F. Yeah, I was watching that too.
Yeah.
And then they dropped the oil all the way up through turn 4 there, right at the top of the hill. It's a crest as well. The worst place you could have oil on the track. Just about the worst place on the track, because you're just flying through that corner and it's right on the top of a hill there. So then did you see...
It was just a safety call at the end of the day. They had to do it.
But did you see when they went out in FP3, did you see the F1 cars when they had to go through that for the first time?
I couldn't see them.
Yeah, so you did see it? You did.
I did.
If anyone hasn't seen it and you can catch a replay, it's like the F1 cars were sent out in snow. It was just...
Yeah, it was just a blizzard of cement dust.
I could not believe that in this day and age that's what we sent Formula One cars out into. You know, we're here at the...
I don't think there was anything wrong with it. They had to get the cement dust done, and they were taking a while to do it, but they just had to get the cars out there to clean it up. That's what they had to do.
But my point being, this is the pinnacle of motorsport. They're Formula One cars which are worth millions of dollars each, right?
Right, okay.
And that makes them a very expensive track sweeper. You know, surely they could have got some sort of sweepers out there, or even sent out some of the lower cars. You know, they have all these different events there at the track. Get some of those cars out there just to run laps, even if it's not an event, just so they're running over it and just blowing that away so that the Formula One cars don't have to get all their shit clogged with cement dust.
No, it didn't bother me. I thought it was good.
So I just thought it was a bit weird.
It was weird, but, I mean, at that corner, they had to do that, because I think at the end of the F2 race, people were starting to slip and slide around there, so it was just one of those safety things, because that's not a corner you want to be losing grip on.
No.
Not at all. So yeah, cement dust on turn 4 FP3. Let's talk about Russell quickly. He had a really good race,
mate,
and he got through Q1.
No, he didn't get through Q1.
I thought he was close.
Just missed.
Yeah, that's right. He was so close. That's right.
It almost felt like if he'd just gone out, left his run just that little bit longer for the track evolution, he quite very well may have made it into Q2. He just missed. He ended up starting
15th, didn't he?
No, well, the top 15 go through. So yeah, he started 16th. Yeah,
16th. Yeah, I always do that mistake. Yeah, Russell 1:17.031. So he needed another second. But what really gets me about Russell was he beat Perez. Ricciardo had that. Obviously, Perez and Ricciardo had that thing, and he beat Stroll. Racing Point. What the F? You know,
you just say Stroll. Enough said.
But Russell. Clearly, Kubica shit is he's just Kubica shit. He's so far off the pace as well. A 1:18.3. He didn't even hit the 17s, dude.
No, there's big rumours around, and I think there's strong rumours that he actually is going to be replaced in this summer break. So we'll have to wait and see if it's going to be Latifi. But
Verline. I've heard of Verline. Because he's Mercedes, isn't he?
It could be Verline, which I think would be a fair shot. Which I said the other last week. I said, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing him back and get another go. But
Ocon, they could chuck Ocon in there.
So I don't know what to say. You know, we've said it all about Kubica. He's not the driver that he was 8 years ago. I know there was all the fantasizing and the romanticism of it all, and being able to come back after what he's been through. And so many of us wanted him to actually live up to it, but just too much water has gone under the bridge, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I said this before in an early podcast, but after going through the life-changing stuff I did with my nerve injury, like, you can work as hard as you want, but you can never reach the level you were at prior, like, because you're just damaged goods, basically. So, yeah, I think it's just one of those things, man. Like, I don't know what it is, mentally or physically or whatever he's got to overcome, but I think he's at his limit.
Well,
he has to be.
Like we've said about Gasly being so far off Verstappen, it's just not acceptable being almost 0.9 seconds off your teammate in a Red Bull, and here we are at the bottom of the grid. Obviously, you know, at this point in time, the worst car on the grid, okay, but still, he is 1.3 seconds off Russell's time. That's just, you know, that.
And he didn't deserve that point he got in Hockenheim.
That's right. So, I don't know what they're going to do with Kubica, but anyway, on the bright side, Russell is just becoming a champion. I'm really liking him. He's
I didn't really know much about him until this year.
Mate, he's performing great in the car. He performed really well in the race.
Yep.
And he performs really well in the media. Did you notice when they're interviewing him?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's a really good
I
speaker.
like the young blokes on the media, man. They're way more fun and involved with it. Norris, Russell, Albon. I like those three guys. They're good.
Because you look at the race results, and Grosjean was the only retirement of the entire race, but Kubica was 19th, then Giovinazzi was 18th, then Lance Stroll in the Racing Point with a Mercedes engine was 17th, and then George Russell. So George Russell finished, 16th on merit. So
yeah, man.
I'm sure Williams. It's sounds weird, but I'm sure Williams would be very pleased with that result.
Oh, I think they were over the moon, dude.
Yeah, so
I don't think they could have asked for that in a million years. Not in 2019, anyway.
So who knows? We might see him actually jag one or two, legitimate points on merit by the end of the season if they continue this upward trend that Williams seem to be on at the moment with their upgrades. Because I did hear Crofty say that with that time that Russell did in Q1, that was actually 1.3 seconds faster than last year's time that Williams did. So they are obviously... Ironically, he was also about 1.3 seconds faster than Kubica. so Kubica was still doing last year's times.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a big change. A big change.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying watching Russell and his venture into F1. And then we have your mate that I want to quickly mention, Leclerc, and his spin and crash in Q3.
I texted you when he said it, but you told me beforehand, but I'm starting to notice it now. He keeps saying, I need to keep learning from these mistakes. He's making far too many of them.
Look, he is a rookie. I think he was thrown into the deep end, but when you're in a Ferrari, the excuses just kind of stop, don't they?
They have to. You have to be on your game, man.
Just like at Red Bull, you gotta deliver.
Yep.
I did say this in our pre-season when I said, I was a little bit worried, and I felt like a lot of people were on the hype of how good Leclerc is with the few races he had last year, where he really shone. But I felt like I
think a lot of people still are, actually.
And a lot of people forgot the times when he didn't shine and when he made a lot of mistakes. And to me,
he made some pretty bad ones too.
And to me, it seems like he's brought them with him. Like, he keeps saying he's got to learn from them, but so far I haven't seen him learning from them. I mean,
no, like crashing in Q3, you can't do that. You can't crash in Q3. I mean, I know Verstappen's done it. I don't know if it was Q3, like Monaco, but he's grown up from that. But this isn't a street circuit, man. You can't crash in Q3.
I think that's just what it is, Josh. It's the it's just experience. That's all you can put it down to. He's just got to get more experience under his belt. He's not technically a full rookie, but he is very new to F1 still, let alone thrown into the deep end at Ferrari there.
He was very lucky that he was allowed to they were able to fix that rear wing as well, because he was just lucky he just kissed the wall the way he did.
That was in Q3, so that could have... Oh, sorry, I got it wrong there. It's Q1.
It's Q1.
Oh,
yeah, I was like reading, I'm like, Q3, hang on. No, you're right, it was Q1.
So it was Q1, sorry, when he reversed into the wall.
I thought it was weird when I was thinking about it. I'm like, hang on, wasn't it Q3?
But see, as you just said, that could very well have meant
the same
him
thing.
Starting in the bottom 5, because...
Could have been, yeah, easily.
They managed to get him out for Q2. So
he was so lucky. So lucky. You've also got Q1 last corner shambles. I gotta admit, I didn't really notice the... Oh, wait, I did, because Ricardo Perez was one. Because that happened.
It's just becoming a joke now. This last corner, people just banking up. And you mentioned it last time in Germany with the practice. They need to do something with this. I don't know what, like we were saying last week, that it was mentioned about the minimum lap times. They just... It's getting dangerous, like, because Ricardo was worried that he's not going to make it past the line in time. So he thought, well, I'm sitting behind these guys, stuff this, I'm going to go around the outside. And then
he also was worried about temperatures as well, because it was cooling down too much.
That's true, too. So,
yeah.
Even when he decided to go for it, look, to be honest, his lap was already compromised, but then just to rub salt into the wound, Perez said, hang on a minute, you're not getting past me, so he gunned it, and then they just both...
Perez is a mongrel, man.
They both ruined each other's laps.
Sometimes I think Perez is a bit of a he's a bit of a cowboy. Like, you know that incident where he turned into Albon, where they were investigating it during the race? Did you see the onboard footage of that?
No, I'm trying to think of the incident. I don't know if I recall that one.
Up to turn 1, Perez, I think, was ahead of Albon at the time, but Albon, well, they were side by side at least. And as they hit the apex at turn 1, Perez, it looked like Albon had hit Perez.
Albon passed him.
Yeah. But when you watch the onboard, Perez knew he was there the whole time because you could see him looking in the mirror. He was looking and looking and looking and looking. And then you can see Perez up beside him well before they get to the turn-in point. They get to the turn-in point, and he just turns in. And you're just like, Perez, mate, you can't do that. And, like, I was really struggling. I was like, he did that on purpose. There should be a penalty for that. But they just overlooked it and let it play on, because luckily no one was, no damage or anything out of it. But that was an intentional turn in by Perez's half there. Like, he got away with murder basically during that race. I think
I missed that.
There wasn't a lot said about it, but if you go watch the footage, he did that on purpose because he knew you could easily see that he knew Albon was up next to him. So it was just something that I thought got overlooked by a lot of people, but anyway, that's my feelings on the situation.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, Perez is not one of my, my favourite drivers, but he's not one of my, I don't have a problem with him. Like I don't mind him actually. Like I think he's okay.
I don't mind him, but sometimes I think behind the wheel he's a bit of a menace. He can be a menace. He's done it with Ocon. He's done it. I've seen it now with Albon. The thing that happened with him and Ricardo, I think...
Well, with that, see, he feels like... He actually said it in the pen afterwards. He felt that it was disrespectful of Ricardo. Because, see, he's trying to make a gap in front of him to whoever was in front of him. So, it just becomes a chain reaction. That's what I'm saying. They need to do something with this last corner crap that we're putting up with every week. Because it's getting dangerous.
If it's not a written rule, go for it. I don't care. If the guy in front of you is not moving, get around him. You know what I mean? I know what you mean with the danger as well. Not so much that track because you got a lot of time to see what's coming. But
well, we saw it with the big one. What happened at Austria?
that's what I was about to say. That was the worst one. Was definitely in Austria. So
they need to introduce something. I don't know exactly what yet, but they need to do something about it, because aside from that, it's just taking away from the spectacle as well, because laps are getting ruined.
maybe they
Both Ricciardo and Perez should have been in Q2, but as a result, they both missed out. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes.
maybe you change the format of qualifying a little bit. I don't know if you would do that. Like, you still keep Q1, Q2, Q3, but I don't know, because like track evolution's such a big thing. It's all about the timing, so maybe not. That's a tough one.
I mean, changing the format is still not going to stop people banking up to try and make more space so they can, get their flyer in. So they need to do something about that aspect of it.
Well, does these issues usually happen in Q1? Let's think about this. Is it usually Q1 where most of the traffic dramas are, because all 20 cars are trying to get a lap in?
You get it at the end of Q1 and you get it at the end of Q2.
Right. I don't know. Track evolution. If that didn't exist, I think we'd be fine, because you just want guys out there in free air.
I mean, we've even had it in Q1s, when they're actually going for pole, where like they've compromised
Q3.
they've compromised each other, where like the first runs is what the pole time was, because they couldn't get a good run in for their second one. But it happens all the time.
It does. It does. I don't know if it's an easy solution, though.
The other thing we had to just quickly mention here also is the Bottas rubbish first lap that he put in.
What was that, man?
His balls are on the line here with that Mercedes team, and he was sandwiched there. He got muscled out by Lewis, and then he got muscled out by Leclerc. But did you see the footage from Vettel's view? It looked like Leclerc actually cut Bottas's front off.
I did, actually, because it sort of looked like he sort of swayed out a little bit more than
swerved right out
normal.
To him. So,
yeah.
Like, if I was stewarding on it, I probably would have put the blame on Leclerc. But, I mean, I'm not forgiving Bottas for putting his car in that position in the first place, knowing that, like I said, his balls are on the line here. Toto told him, we're going to assess you on the next two races. Now, how have the next two races panned out for him? Absolutely rubbish.
They won't get rid of him during this break, you don't think?
No chance. They'll get rid of him at the end of the year, though.
I reckon after these 4 weeks, he'll come out super strong. He might even get a win, and then he'll just drop off again.
I just think
he'll do if he grows a beard. I think he's back.
It'll just be too little, too late, because
nah, it is a bit too late. You're right.
I think Bottas 2.0 is dead and buried.
Oh yeah, it didn't last long, did it? Unfortunately.
But having said that, one thing that I did want to note is that I felt like Mercedes had, as good as they got the strategy right with Lewis, they totally screwed Bottas, because they left him out there for 6 laps.
For 6 laps?
Broken wing. I
don't know why they did that.
I was watching the lap times. He was almost 3 seconds off the pace. Now, for 6 laps, that puts him almost 20 seconds already behind before they decide to finally pull him in.
Yeah, that was sometimes you want to praise Mercedes.
Yeah, I did not understand.
You want to praise Mercedes and their strategic team and things they come up with on the fly, and then they do things like that. And I'm just like, I don't understand the thinking.
We had a couple of great on-track battles. First one was, you had to have seen the Kvyat and Albon battle they had through 4 corners.
Oh, that was great. Side by side, up into turn 4 as well. You couldn't beat it.
You know why I wanted to mention that? Because it was an awesome battle and Kvyat did win out there. But what should happen is Gunther Steiner should take that bit of footage back to the Haas after post-race meeting and just put it up on the big screen and say, hey guys, this is how you race, and not hit each other.
I must admit, watching that happen, I was scared. I was like, come on, Kvyat, don't fuck this up, mate.
Mate, they were so close to each other.
Oh, it's so close.
But they did not touch. And
they did a really good job.
And it was all fair.
It definitely was. It definitely was. But when Albon and Kvyat, they went for that turn 4 side by side, I was like, oh shit. But they did it, so it was good to watch. Really good to watch.
That's why I thought Gunther Steiner should use that in his artillery for bloody K-Mag and Grosjean.
Yeah, a training video for the two. K-Mag and Dan had a bit of a battle out on tracks.
Yeah,
Daniel was upset that K-Mag was moving under braking and etc.
He was
just blocking him, basically.
Happy. Did you notice in the video on the FIA radio videos that they put up that he didn't refer to K-Mag by his name? He's like, this guy, this effing guy, you know.
Yeah.
Well, what can I don't know what to do with this guy. Like, I don't know if it's on purpose. He wasn't saying his name, but he was not happy. Yeah. Dan.
He wasn't. And K-Mag also got the radio call to go around. Was it K-Mag around Grosjean, I think? Because one of them... Who's the one that retired?
That was Grosjean.
Yeah, so I think Grosjean was ahead. And then K-Mag got the... They said Grosjean let him through, he's quicker. And we saw that pass happen on TV as well. So that all happened as well. I was actually on the F1 TV. If you've got it and you watch the pit lane, you would have heard the radio messages come up there as well. So it was really good to see. At the same time that battle was happening out in front, it was actually, they were doing a good job of showing you the other things that were happening.
Yeah, I haven't
out on
watched
track.
it like that from the people. I've used it for the on-boards and radios and so forth, so I'll have to try that.
Well, let's quickly talk about F1 TV, because I don't think we've talked about it before, have we?
No, I don't believe so. I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah, so we got it for Monaco, wasn't it, the first one?
Yeah, because we were talking about how we could get it, or it might have been, was it Canada before Monaco? I can't remember. I think
because I thought we got it for Monaco, or maybe I got it for Monaco and you got it for Canada.
Yeah,
because I definitely remember watching Monaco because I was listening to Lewis Hamilton's radio that whole race. Because he was whinging a lot, and I was like, and I actually said, no, he's not whinging that much because he had a point. You can actually check that out, our episode, whatever episode number that was, but I do remember saying that. But you've ended up, well, you didn't cancel it, but you want to cancel your subscription. Can you explain why you don't like?
No, I told you.
You don't think it's worth it?
No,
I'm talking about the people that are listening
yeah,
because they don't.
I use it for the. I was enjoying it for the onboard footage, and I like the little insights that you get, especially in the formation lap. Like, I follow Dan, and I just see what he's talking with his engineer leading up to the start of the race and so forth. What I hate about it is when you got the onboard footage, you've got to have the engine noise so you can hear. You've got to have the volume up so that you can hear when the radio comes on.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to watch the footage on TV, I've got the laptop there on the side, and I've got the other laptop with the live timing on. So I'm all set up, but then I'm constantly hearing, all the engine noise. It's just, and then,
yeah.
So I've been playing around with it like for about, 4, 5, 6 races, whatever long it's been now. And just last weekend, I was like, I've had enough of this noise, man. And I just shut the laptop. And that's when I said to you, I'm going to cancel it for now, man. I said, maybe when I go to the Japanese F1 later on in the year, I'll resubscribe then, and so I can watch it there trackside and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people that I like the more information the better. Like, I like having the timing screens open. If I can get the onboards, I'll do that. And it's really cool because so what happens is when you turn it on, you get the broadcast. You can pick your language: Turkish, Italian, German, English, and you get the commentary. English, you get the Sky, you get Crofty and all that doing the commentary. Or you can just pick the sound effects. So if you don't want any commentary, you can just hear the cars if that's your cup of tea. But on the side, you can pick all 20 cars. So you can go through and pick all the onboards. You can watch them. You can open more windows at once if that's what you want to do. But the biggest problem, like you said, is you have to hear that external microphone picking up the engine noise.
I wish you could have an option that would just switch off the engine noise, and whenever the radio
the team
comes
radio
on, let me just hear the team radio, because then I could just still glance over and see what's going on track, and then just
I would add to that. I would even add, you could pick it on board and have the direct radio feed. but at the same time, you get an option to turn on other people's radios. Because you know how, like, sometimes there's a battle going, like with the Max and Hamilton thing.
Yes, I know what you mean.
I really wanted to hear what both were happening at the same time,
Yes.
but I was like, no, it gets too annoying with all the engine noise. So I just picked the one that I thought would be the most relevant. But if you could pick, say, any number of drivers you want to listen to and just hear them as they come in, even if they talked at the same time, I wouldn't give a shit. But it would just make that feature that much more palatable and like really user friendly. I think.
Well,
I think that's one of the biggest changes they need to make.
Because that's basically the number one reason why I wanted to try it out. Because
I think it's a number one reason for a lot of people, and it's uncensored radio too. You
that's
hear
what I wanted, and I wanted.
You hear the effins and the shitting and the
Yeah, I don't.
You hear it all.
The way I said that when you were saying that, I didn't want just the swearing. I just wanted the real live radio feed. I want to hear what the drivers are discussing. I want to hear what they're saying through the race, because we don't get it as much even on the live timing app anymore, because it's all here on the TV.
This week they had a lot though. Really, sometimes they're really inconsistent. Sometimes they have shit tons, and sometimes they have almost nothing.
Yeah, they say uncensored, but. So do you think there's someone there who decides what messages go out and what doesn't? So
I did think about that because I was listening to the Hamilton one, and then a Hamilton thing came up on TV, and I was like, I don't remember hearing that. But it could have just been that there was so much going on, I just missed it. But it did make me think that question. I'm like, do they show everything? I think they do. I think they show it. I think you get everything, just a raw feed.
So for me, the jury's still out on it. Like, I still need to, and I definitely would love them to change that radio. Just give me a radio button. I want to be able to turn off the engine noise, because I'm watching the actual TV feed, Sky F1, and I'm listening to the commentary and the engine noises they have there as it is, and the extra engine noise, and it's surprisingly how loud it gets when it's so constant, even though you keep turning it down.
Oh, it just drums in your ears, man.
Yeah,
don't worry. When I was in the Navy, there was a cryptographic device we used, and when it would run out of sync with the frequency, it would make this really high-pitched beeping noise. It was just this beep, and it would go forever until you fixed it. And if it was a rough C or HF frequencies were, they weren't, it was, say it was like a cold night or something, and the radio waves were bouncing off the atmosphere and they weren't getting there properly, like, it would just go out of sync every 10 seconds. And it just reminds me of that, because you would go to bed at night and you would just hear this beep, and you, like, even though it's not there anymore. Same thing with the engine noise. You just hear this hum of the engine, just never goes away. So I think if you've already got F1 through Sky or in Australia through Fox Sports, and you're happy with what you got, don't bother trying to get it. If you don't have F1 though, I think it's a really good way to watch it, because you get the normal
100%,
broadcast.
You can still watch the broadcast through it, yes.
But if you do have the money and you do have the broadcast and you want to give it a go, at least try it for a month, and I would recommend watching it along with the pit. That was the pit wall option they give you. So they give you the broadcast in one box, a half of the screen, and the other half of the screen they'll give you like onboards of two cars, and then they show replays and stuff in them as well. So, and then you get extra radio messages coming through, and they also give you a different commentator, which is interesting. And I did that for the first time, and I got a really good overview of the entire race, including, the Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo stuff, everything that was happening with Stroll. So, yeah, I actually really enjoyed what I got out of it last week. So, I guess it's not for everyone, but I think you need to try it to sort of understand if you want it or not.
Yeah.
So,
like, that's all it is. Give it a go, see what you think.
Yeah, and if you're in Australia and you want to get it, you have to DM us, and I'll let you know how you do it. Anyway, is there anything else you'd like to mention about the race and the checkered flag?
We're going a little bit longer than I thought we were going to go, but I'm just going to say one more thing. Did you hear Cyril Abitbull or sometimes I like to call him Cyril a bit full of bull.
Cyril a bit full of bull.
he said, you know how the Renault engine has got 1,000 horsepower now?
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell he's gloating about that for. Like, even if it is
I didn't hear this, but
he said it over the weekend,
that's-
and then Max was asked the question in the press conference, and he said about the Renault engine. One of the reporters said, Cyril said, you know, that Renault have broken the 1,000 horsepower barrier. So what about Honda and Mercedes? Because it was Bottas and Hamilton were on the panel, yeah, with him. And Max's answer was just gold. He said, well, if Renault have got 1,000 brake horsepower, he said, they must have a really crap car. And then Lewis was almost in stitches because he cracked up at that answer as well. So,
well, they've shown absolutely nothing. So I don't know where they got 1,000 horsepower from. That's insane.
I just can't understand also why there's not enough pressure on Cyril. Like, that Renault is nowhere. I don't know. Why is Cyril still there?
I don't know, man. Maybe they did say it's going to take them 3 to 5 years. Maybe they're just a bit lenient in the first year. I don't know.
Aren't they like 3 years into it now already? So
yeah, well, I know, but I don't know. I don't run Renault. They're a French team, man. They neutral. I don't know.
Well, you know, I just thought, you know, yeah, Cyril a bit full of bull.
Is a little bit. Sounds like it.
So
well, that's the checkered flag, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's get on to our S3 awards.
Yeah, we'll explain them quickly. S3 awards stands for Superstar, Surpriser, and Stinker. 2 to the Superstar, 1 to the Surpriser, and we take a one way from the Stinker. I'm going to let you start this week with your Surpriser. Your Superstar.
Yeah, my Superstar might even surprise you because I'm actually giving it to Hamilton. I thought he didn't put a foot wrong with his drive. Sure, he annoyed me with his whinging, but that last 20 laps, as I said to you, I think he was going to win anyway, the way I thought of it, or the way it played out in my mind. But that last 20 laps, or the last stint that he did, that was full-on quali laps. You read out the times before, you know, 19, 19, 19, then he got into the 18s. And he
did it consistently,
he was just doing quali lap after quali lap after quali lap, and he didn't make a mistake. He didn't have one lap where he took a breath and then went again. Like, he was on it, man.
Yeah, I almost gave him the point too, so I'm actually not too surprised he gave it to him. I wanted to give my Superstar to Sainz this week. I wanted to go a little bit left of field. I think he's been super consistent in the midfield. He's the best of the rest. For him to be up there in 5th, he had a decent qualifying as well. So he gets my 2 points for this week. Your Surpriser. Who gets your point?
My 1 point this week had to go to Kimi.
To Kimi?
Yes. In that Alpha, he dragged it into 7th, and he's been building up to this 1 point from me because he's been very consistent. You know, they had a bit of a lull there, the Alphas, but he's scoring the points. He's bringing the car home. Look at Giovinazzi where he was, nowhere, and Kimi's there in 7th.
Yeah, even though Kimi doesn't seem like he's having fun, I'm pretty sure he's having a good time of it at Sauber.
Mate, he's doing a fantastic job there at Alpha so far in this first half of the season.
Totally agree. My Surpriser is Russell. Well, I didn't expect the Williams to be off the bottom at all this year. He was so close to getting out of Q1.
Fair call.
And he finished up there at the end of the race too. So I was pretty surprised with his run. So I got to give him the point.
Yep, fair call.
And who doesn't get a point this week? Who loses one?
Mate, I can't go past Stroll. I'm sorry, but he's just nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, Perez didn't have a good one either.
No, but look at the race results. If you look, what did Stroll finish like second last? He finished 19th.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not great.
I mean, just
19th. And he only came ninth. Sorry. Race results.
he finished 17th. There you go. Sorry.
For Hungary. Yeah, 17th. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure Kubica was at the end.
But,
yeah.
You've got
17th.
up there fighting for 10th, fighting for a point. Just where... I've said so much about Stroll. I'm not saying anymore. I'm giving him -1.
Fair enough. I'm giving mine to Gasly.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Because he should have been up there for a podium. They had the car to do it, and he didn't take it. And there was a Bottas nowhere to be seen, so he had it, and he would have easily been quicker than the Ferrari. He should have been on the podium this week, but he didn't take it with both hands and grab it. He let it slip.
That is the biggest problem with Gasly. That's right. He's not... You wouldn't even say he's not making the most of his opportunities. He's just not making anything of any opportunity.
Nothing, mate. Nothing. Rookie watch. Well, I'm going to go. I think I'm going to give him a double award this week. It's Russell again. I think he just had a really outstanding weekend. I mean, there's not many rookies to pick from, so I'm giving it to him.
Well, that's what, as I said earlier as well. Yeah, I'm very impressed with Russell and just the whole package. Like he's driving, like I said, on the media and everything. So yeah, he's got my 1 point this weekend as well.
Awesome. Podium predictions is our next segment. We both got a point this week, I believe.
Yeah, we did. We both scored a point this week. You scored a point with Vettel in third. You almost got the trifecta. Well, you did get the box trifecta, but you almost got it straight because you had Max first, then Hamilton, then Vettel, and Bottas and Leclerc. So obviously, Ham passing Max with 3 laps to go screwed you, and you only got a point for Vettel, where you could have got 3.
Oh, well, I've been pretty good. Yeah. It's been really hard with the predictions this year.
It's surprising me, actually, how hard it is.
Yeah, you think... you go, oh, it's always Hamilton, it's always this, but it hasn't been.
And I had Vettel on top to bounce back, keep his form from Germany going, and that didn't really happen. And then I had Bottas, and I had Max, and I had Hamilton, and I told you I'm going to stick Sainz into the 5th position, what he likes to do, and he did, and I got a point there.
He did. So, sure, we'll do Belgium now?
Yeah, sure. This is we'll do it from 4 weeks out because that's how good we are.
Yeah, that's a month away. I've already figured mine out. Verstappen won it last year. I think he's going to win it again.
Really? Wow.
No, sorry. No, I did change my mind about that. Vettel. Sorry, I usually have these written down, guys, so I do apologise. Vettel, because of the track that it is. I think he'll have the pace.
I was going to say, I think Vettel won it last year.
Yeah, sorry. No, I think Verstappen did. I will find out. Belgium, let's have a look. 2018 race results. Belgium! It was... No, you're right, it was Sebastian Vettel.
So.
I thought it was the other way around. Anyway, so I'm going to give it to Vettel this year. He's won. And then I'm going to give it to Verstappen. And then Hamilton in third. I'm going to go Bottas fourth. And I'm going to put Sainz in fifth. He just keeps getting that fifth spot.
You can't copy now.
Well, no, I can.
So what you got? You got Vettel, Max, Ham.
Yep. Vettel, Max, Ham, Bottas, Sainz.
Not Sainz. Okay. I'm going to go Vettel, Leclerc, Ham, Bottas. Pretty straightforward. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And I'm going to go Max in fifth.
Right. All right. Well, we are a little bit different as well. We haven't really matched our predictions at all much, have we?
Well, we both got Vettel for the win here, and then we've both got third and fourth for the Mercs. So we're hoping that...
But it's always like the other... It's not always like we're exactly the same. That's how... And we've always... And like even with the step different calls, we've never really gotten that many points. It's really hard to do.
This Vettel, he's cost me heaps this year in this.
Oh,
and I keep
Vettel, man.
because You just can't believe how bad it really is. But I just think Spa is going to suit the Ferrari a lot more. I
think Leclerc will make a mistake. That's why I didn't put him in the top 5.
I just think that the Ferrari is going to be suited in Sector 1 and Sector 3. I think they might lose out a bit in Sector 2. But overall, with their low drag, they should power through Sector 1 and 3. That's what I'm banking on. I think that's going to, like we said, track dependent, and I think it's going to really suit them around Spa.
Yeah, I think this is a Ferrari circuit. Much like Monza as well.
The next one, yeah.
Yeah. Let's do the sim racing stuff last. Let's quickly do the Fantasy League while we're on F1. I had a massively great week again, 210 points for me. You didn't do too bad, though.
Yeah, but 210.
155. Yeah, 210. I think that's the first time I've hit the 200.
I got 155 this week, so still not bad, but I was telling Josh before we started the podcast, my turbo driver for the week last week was Norris, and then before qualifying I had a look at it and I went, oh, you know what, I'll make it Sainz. So I flicked it over to Sainz and I saved the team. And then I was seeing Kvyat was getting interviewed and about his podium last week, and I thought, you know what, he's on a roll, so I'm going to make him my turbo driver. So I switched it to him, and I only got 2 points for him. I could have got 72 with Sainz.
Yeah, he was my turbo. So, like I said last week, just copy me and you'll be doing okay.
Oh, 72 points he got. Wow.
The best scoring team in the world was 234 points, so I wasn't that far off.
234
so I did pretty well.
Versus 210 you got. Yeah, that's right. So you would have been in maybe the top 100. I don't know, but
I wasn't. Obviously, there were people that got 230. There were a few 233s and shit,
I
but
suppose
234 was the highest scoring team I saw, and it had Verstappen and Hamilton in it. So a lot of points with those two guys. So Fantasy League done. Remember, if you want to join that, you can do so. We'll chuck the league code in the description of the podcast, so you're more than welcome to join at any time. Don't fret and think you've missed out because you haven't started. It'll start you at the race that you start at. So we all start from 0 from Belgium. So we'd love to have you along. Sim racing news, man. I'm going to let you talk about FNL1 here.
Yeah, well, I haven't really got too much in the way of new news out in the world there. So with my league, the FNL1 Esports, you can find us on Facebook, guys. Last week we had our Germany race. Actually, we didn't get as exciting as the real race. There wasn't as much kerfuffle, but we did get rain at the end.
It did make things quite interesting at the end.
Very...
If it only came like 5 laps sooner, it would have been even more of an interesting end.
Those last 2 laps on the worn hard tyres was probably very much like driving on that drag strip. It was.
Yeah, the lap times dropped off so dramatically,
and I made a mistake in the last stadium section, and I was telling Zen I lost like over 20 seconds in one lap, like just in that last lap. My last lap was like a 141 or something, and we were lapping in the 116s when it was dry.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were like that. But everyone got home in the end. We had a few retirements, one very surprising one. I won't spoil that for you if you haven't seen it.
So if anyone wants to catch the
head on
stream,
over.
It is on Demo 1 Garage and also on our Facebook page on FNL1 Esports. You can catch the replay of the stream there, and it was a good race. And our next race will be Hungary, which is next Friday. Not this coming Friday, but the week after.
Yeah, I did tell everyone it was this Friday, but I found out there was a schedule change. Well, no, it wasn't a change. I didn't read the schedule properly.
Yeah, we just thought we'd space it out a little bit because we've got the actual official F1 summer break. So the only other thing I wanted to mention with the FNL1 Esports is we've got an F2 league starting up. I've put the post up on Facebook yesterday or the day before. So if anyone out there wants to join the F2 league, We're going to use that as a feeder series for the F1s, and that's where we'll get our reserve drivers from when someone can't make the F1 league, so that, thinking long term, we want to have 20 cars on the F1 grid every week. So if someone can't make it, that way we can pull someone out of the F2 who can jump into the F1s, and we'll have 20 on the grid. And
there's no age restriction like the F1 does, is there? So anyone can join that.
That's right. Yeah, it's an open league. Just jump onto the Facebook, guys. Just put your interest down.
Comment.
Let me know that you're interested, and we'll get you in.
Or join the Discord. It'll be in the description as well. Just say hi.
That's it.
We'll both be there. We'll both be there if you need some coaching as well.
Simple as that.
Yes, F101 Esports, and it should be coming to you next race for the first time in high definition. Okay. Can you believe that? In 1080p, HD, it's going to happen because I'm finally in the new place with the much quicker internet. I'm sure you've noticed it already tonight.
I told you. You look a lot sharper to me tonight, Josh.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
So from the new studios.
Yes, I've got to get that all set up. Another quick one. The world's fastest gamer qualifiers for R Factor 2 have just opened up today, the 6th of August, when we recorded this podcast. So if you're quite good at R Factor and want to have a crack, go and check out R Factor 2. They're open right now. You might find yourself working at Mclaren. You never know. That'd be a pretty cool gig, especially with the way they're improving at the moment.
What an awesome gig that would be if you could be just a sim driver for McLaren.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. That'd just be awesome. And to actually get to see their simulator, because you know how they never get them on camera, because they're always like, don't photograph this room. I just want to be in that room, man, and see what they're doing.
They're actually I think they were one of the first teams on the grid to really utilise sim racing, simulator driving, to get their testing and whatnot, and all the.
It's proven to be the way to do it, because if you can't get real track time, you just hit the simmer.
Yeah, it's just the norm now, isn't it?
Oh, another quick piece of news. I don't know if you saw this. There was a clip of Max Verstappen racing in iRacing. I think it was just one of those, daily race type things they do that go off every hour. There was I don't know what track they were on, but there was a Ferrari that sort of went for an overtake that wasn't on. Verstappen turned into the corner and, that gap closed, and as that Ferrari had his nose there, it sort of run Verstappen off wide. And then at the next corner, Verstappen just punted straight into the side of him and crushed him on purpose.
I saw that. Full torpedoed him.
Yeah, I don't like seeing that stuff happen online. So I'm not really... you're an online racer as well. You know when people run you off and stuff. But I'm not one of those people that has to... I just don't see the point in doing that.
No, it's just...
You know what I mean?
Raging, People just get that red line fever, and they just want revenge.
I really detest people that do that.
That's right, and I think...
I don't care how bad their driving was or how much in the right you were, you do not react like that. That's just my feelings.
But, someone posts this, but we don't really know the context of it either. Like, for all we know, that could have been one of Max's friends, and they could just be having a laugh on headphones. They could do, it looks bad when you just see that and say, oh, look at what Max is doing. This is the part I don't like about how people want to jump on.
Well, even if it's not Max, I don't care who's behind the wheel. They shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying there, but what I'm trying to say is, if that was legitimate just anger from Max, he should know better than to do something like that, because there's kids out there, looking up to him and then thinking, oh, well, if Max does that, I can do it too. But like I just said, we don't. I mean, we really don't know the context. In
a private lobby with your mates, go ahead, don't care. But in a race like that, I think it's a bit of a dog act. But anyway, we all live and learn, I guess, from these things. Well, that brings us to a close tonight. Thanks for listening to us out. A little bit longer than usual, but I think we covered most of the topics tonight. It was really good.
Yeah, it was a little bit longer than I thought we were going to go today. We just got a bit chatty, but that's okay.
So, before we close things off, what do you expect? Do you expect Spa to be 5 in a row?
Mate,
We're a little bit...
this is how F1 is. What are you talking about?
No, you know what I'm trying to say.
You know, this...
Like, are we gonna get another blockbuster at Spa, do you think?
I think we might. Spa's generally pretty good.
Yeah.
They're generally memorable races. It's one of my favourite tracks.
I think it'll be a good race.
I love it.
Oh, it's a great track.
I
it's a
love
great
driving it. I love racing on it. I love Spa.
I love seeing the cars go through a Rouge and Raidillon. It's beautiful.
It's
art in motion.
Definitely on my bucket list to sit at the bottom of Eau Rouge there and just see these F1 cars go through their flat. Like, that must just be amazing.
Oh yeah, it'd be maybe one day. Maybe this podcast can bankroll that for us one day. You never know.
We'll get a press pass.
Yes. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, even share with your F1 friends. Ratings on iTunes, 5 stars would be nice, but
yeah, help us
we're
out,
not going to
guys.
force. We're not going to force you. Leave your comments anywhere and everywhere. We will read them. We'd really like to get some feedback, or even if you've got questions or you want something for us to dissect, because I'm sure we might have a special podcast for the silly season. Something crazy might happen. You never know. So get them in and out. But apart from that, thanks for watching. Oh, sorry, not watching. Thanks for listening. I've been Josh, and from Lights at F1 with Dr. Aussie, I'd like to say good night and see you next time, guys.
See you during the break, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Good night.
Good night.